can see a cloud heavy with rain, and it looks like freedom is headed our way. I can see a cloud heavy with, and it looks like freedom is headed our way. And I can see a cloud heavy with rain. It's heavy with rain.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. We got a great one, all things business. We got this young lady, she's amazing, Miss Jayliene Bonilla, and she is from Tampa, Florida. And I mean, she's amazing. Not only that, she's also a freelance writer. She also does missionary work in Africa and throughout the many parts of the world. She's also a songwriter, and she's also my personal editor for my books. And we're glad to have her on the call today. So how are you doing today, young lady?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Thomas. It's so good to be here. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Well, thank you for all you're
Mhm.
doing for what we publish, and we thank you for being our editor and
Mhm.
going through things, and also doing freelance writing for people that need freelance writing, and also being a lady of God, and also in the missionary, front as far as in Africa. I think you were there at one of those countries for what, 2 months?
I was, yes, sir, in Mozambique.
Mozambique. How'd you like
Mhm.
Mozambique?
Listen, I loved it. I stayed there for a good 2 months, was working with a local missionary there who is from Brazil originally, but has been in Mozambique for 22 years now this year. And she has started a church, she started a feeding program, a children's ministry program, a sewing project, just anything to get the community together, and also feeding them the word of God, giving them substantial food in their being. So she's an amazing missionary. So I spent a lot of time with her, really just anything she needed, I was there, and also just really like getting acclimated with the culture. And I loved it. I loved it. It was amazing.
Well, I've never been to Mozambique. I've been to Cape Town, been to Johannesburg, and to
Yeah.
Central Africa. Yeah, and Brazil. I love Brazil. I used to go 2 or 3 times a year to Brazil. I got a dear friend of mine that has a place there. We go out and hang out for a week or two and just eat good food,
Yes.
Brazilian
Oh, you
food.
have to. You have to. Brazilian food's it's unmatched. It's unmatched.
Oh my God, I just love it down there. I mean, when we call it every time he goes down, I say, "When are we going? When are we going?" And yeah, oh God, I try to go in the cooler months and rather than in the summer months because it's hot down there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Although
So
I'm accustomed to it as a Floridian. I enjoy it.
yeah, I bet you do with that humidity. Because I mean, if I had hair like yours, I couldn't have hair in Florida. It's just like this. But let me ask you a question, young lady. What's the first step you took when you started your business, becoming a editor? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I went to school for journalism, actually. Editing and publishing was my emphasis. So I always knew that writing was my passion. I just didn't think it would take this kind of toll of like this direction. Um, And editing for me is it's storytelling. It's getting someone else's story, and it's getting to not only structure in a way that's readable for a reader, but also just give it a platform that allows the reader to understand the author, understand the history, understand the story. Um, Ghostwriting is another really fun thing that goes along with journalism and in the world of publishing, because it's hearing somebody's story and like listening to their tone of voice and penning it upon paper and sending it out to the masses. So, I mean, writing for me, it's all about just capturing stories, and at the basis, it's storytelling. It's making sure that someone's voice is heard. Everyone has been through something in some way or another. They have so many years of like you, history and experience and business and all of these things and practical tools and wisdom to add to people. So it's getting that in a book and putting it out there because people are looking for these kinds of resources. So writing for me, I just love being the bridge. I love being the bridge that connects people to the knowledge they're searching for and then the resource.
That's amazing. What's the difference between? I know our guests are probably wondering what's the difference between a writer and a ghostwriter.
hmm
Can you
Well,
explain the difference?
yeah, it's in the same umbrella because with a ghostwriting, you're still writing, so it's not to say that you're not doing the actual work of putting words and sentences together. Um, but in this case, for example, for your book that I'm editing, which is shameless plug, an amazing book, I cannot wait for it to be published. Just the manuscript alone is it's just incredible. So for those watching, please go ahead when it's published to pick that up. But it's called The Entrepreneur Mindset to Wealth. And that book, for example, you've written an amazing book. All
Oh,
the
thank you.
chapters, and you're welcome. All those chapters are just great. And my job picking up from your book is just like formatting it, editing it, cleaning it up, making sure things are understandable, making sure people really can grab a hold of what you're saying, maybe
Mhm.
changing some words to have more weight to it and the flow, the structure, the feeling of everything that makes a book, especially a book of this kind of professionalism. So that's like more in the line of editing. However, if I was to ghostwrite this very same book for you, and you would come to me and be like, "Hey, I have an idea for the entrepreneur mindset to wealth. I don't know how I'm gonna write it. I'm not a writer, but these are the topics I want to be written about." We would periodically meet together. I'd interview you. I'd hear some of your story. I would pick some of your brain and some of your knowledge and some of your technique. And I would have to do my own research to make sure that I also, as I'm writing for you, understand these kinds of topics. And we'd meet on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, depending on what it looks like for people, and get parts of your story, parts of what you want to add, and I'm going ahead and writing it in your tone of voice. So
Mm.
that's what makes ghostwriting very different because by the time
Okay.
it's finished and published, the author's name is has full credibility for the book, but the ghostwriter kind of put it all together. Both are fun because it's to me it's again like I'm saying it's bridging the gap between the reader and the author, bridging the gap between people searching for something and not having it in their hand and like it's like a light bulb moment and I love that kind of stuff.
Wow. Wow. So what got you inspired into that particular field?
Yes. Well, to keep it short, I know it sounds funny, but growing up in school, math was never my expertise. That was never my thing. Writing was always a way for me to express myself. um, I am Latina and we're very expressive people, so for me, aside of doing that with other things in life like music and dance and fashion, it's always also been through writing. And I started to explore that and started to stir up that gift and seek out other resources and people who are were much more experienced than I was, especially as a
Mhm.
young writer. Went to school, went to so many different events and networking to just learn about this kind of craft. And I started to realize the more I was doing it, like maybe this is a gift and maybe this is something not just I'm passionate about that I'm good at. And I started to do this in school. I would help, certain peers, write their papers and do all of those things. But I just got really good at it. And I started making room for myself in this industry, which I think everyone should do. If you feel like you're passionate about something and the Lord's given you a gift, you have the responsibility to stir it up, seek the right people,
Wow.
put in the work, put in the effort. But in the same vein, like you also got to make room for yourself. And as you're doing that, like your effort with the Lord's effort, there's like nothing that you can't do.
Wow. So it's you got close to my next question. When did you have that aha moment? This is where I want to be. What would
Hmm.
you say that? When was that for you?
I have a lot of aha moments in life, but for this one in writing, um, it would have to have been um, a few years ago. But I think it might have been closer to my senior year of college. I was doing this more on the side as well as studying it, which was nice because I was able to put it to practice as a side gig while also going through school. And I was working on a magazine actually. It was a fashion magazine that I was interning for and writing for. And my very first celebrity interview was with them. And it was my first time doing an interview that was outside of like a school's covering. So it was really, really stretching for me. But the entire time I'm doing it, I started asking questions. I started writing things down, and it felt natural, and things were coming out of me. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I have more in me than I thought. So writing that piece and working with that fashion blog and that fashion magazine really started to make things come alive to me. And from that point on, I kept digging and the Lord kept opening doors and I kept writing and here I am editing your
There you
book.
go. Wow. Thank you. Next question. What would you say the best piece of advice that you received from another entrepreneur or mentor about the field that you embarked in as far as editing?
Hmm. This has a lot to do with journalistic ethics, but being an authentic and honest person, it's hard to find people, in my opinion, in business settings and entrepreneur settings that mean what they say and their
Right.
character aligns with what they're selling. And I started to be around a lot of people who were successful in those worlds, and I started to differentiate the difference between people with character and people just trying to make a name for themselves. Not that it's bad to work hard to get yourself out there, but if you're doing these efforts without good character, it's in vain. And it's what you sow, you definitely reap. So I started to learn these principles, not just in the Christian setting, but like in the business world, because if we're Christians first, anywhere else. And as I started growing my business and writing more for other people, I started to quickly pick up on that. That character, I think, is the thing that sets a lot of people apart.
I agree with you totally, especially if they're not equally yoked. And the character and also their words must mean something. If you're, that's so important, especially these days,
Yeah.
but you don't find it. So that's amazing. Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question about growth and scaling. What's some of the key turning points for your milestone that help you scale your business to where you're at today? What has helped you?
hmm Connections and doing not doing this alone. I had to connect with other writers who were better than me. I think sometimes we get so one track minded that because it's my business that I'm trying to grow, that I need to make this happen. And that's not necessarily the case. I think we're better in numbers. And I can't be a successful writer without people who understand the industry and who've been in there longer than I have and have a wealth of knowledge. So I think just you never stop growing and you never stop
Yeah.
doing life with people. It's not just something you put on and put off. I think it's something you have to continue growing in. And to me, that has scaled my business to a larger setting because I quickly realized I need to do this with people and they need to do this with me. Like it's a teamwork effort.
Let me actually, that's true. So true. How do you deal with very strong minded, strong headed, pointed person when they
hmm
give you material to go over it? How do you have to break down how to, when they don't want to hear your input? How does that, tell us a little bit about that?
Well, they're in for a challenge because so am I. No. The truth is this, I always try to make sure that when they give me, for example, a manuscript, this is something that's precious to them. I understand that. Is this something they worked hard to write, especially if they're not a writer themselves? Like this took time, this took effort, and to them, this is everything. And I always want to come into these meetings with them, making sure they feel safe and understand that I want to protect their work. I don't want to just rip it apart and then make you feel like you did a terrible job or the thing that you're most proud of is not worth it. However, it's taking that, making sure they feel honored and valued, but in the same way, making sure they understand, okay, this is not going to sell. This might need to be tweaked. And unless they're willing to take the next step and take a jump, it's really hard to continue on. And I've had to part ways with people, not necessarily because they were wrong, I was right, but just they weren't ready for their work to be tweaked. So sometimes it's just having those honest conversations, and
Yeah.
I don't shy away from those conversations. So I invite them.
Yes, I know. I'm gonna be very transparent. How am I as a customer?
You were actually wonderful. You're wonderful. I thank God.
Well, I'm open to understand what I don't know, and I'm willing to
Mhm.
learn what I should know. And the way you get better at anything, take it to the expert like yourself, and then tell me what I need to improve on. One of the first things you said about mine, I'm gonna move these chapters around a little bit. I'm gonna do this and do that. I go, okay. There was no argument. I mean, because after all, you know what sells best and how it looks best, and I trust you. And plus, here again, word of mouth advertising for who you came, how we got connected here. So that's what makes me feel great about it.
Yeah.
Also, my partner, Mr. Jabri Clemens, as well. So, without a shadow of a doubt, so we got a contract signed. Let's do it. Because
Yes, sir.
I was easy. I think I was, yeah, really okay, good. Um, can you talk about a failure or setback you encountered and how you turned into an opportunity to turn a customer around? Have a little bit of story about that.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a few. Let me see which one I want to say. Um, Truly, I think one of the very first books I had published with somebody, and I say with somebody because I ghost wrote it and I edited it as well, half and half, which was an interesting journey. And I think the failure, what challenge I would say was it was already a book that already had been published, and it was difficult to write. And it was a book that was published years ago, maybe over 10 years ago. So now I had to write in this tone of his tone of voice that was a 10-year voice years later, a lot more mature, a lot more understanding of what he's talking about. And it was a challenge to like not fail them as far as like what you wrote was great, but you're not this person anymore. And
Mm,
rip that apart. It was stretching for me because it's like I also now had to learn this person's tone of voice. I had to watch their podcast and how they would word things and hear how they structure stuff because although our meetings were great, I still needed more substance. So I had to start digging deeper. And it was frustrating to me because I think that's the hardest I've ever had to work to ghostwrite someone's book. Usually I'm great with interview bases and then I have so much content, but I didn't have enough. So it was frustrating. It was a really challenging process. So um, to get to our end goal, it was a success. I'm grateful for that. But it was one of those things that I could quickly see as like a failure if I recognized that these interviews weren't where I wanted them to be, and they weren't. However, listening to that person's podcast, doing more research on the person and other kind of speaking engagements they've done, I started to quickly pick up on their tone, their voice, and put that into a writing scheme. And I think it was a lesson for me because if you find a challenge, push through it, find
there
another
you
way,
go.
keep digging. Yeah.
Well, let me actually switch it up a little bit along the same basis. What's your
Mhm.
strategy on building long-term customer loyalty? What would you say?
Yeah. So here's the thing. A lot of customers sometimes they just want to come and do one book. Some customers want to do series. I see them as the same exact way. And I didn't always used to. I used to just see like if I'm just working with one book with you, I'm just gonna do my very best, make sure you're satisfied and leave it at that because there should be no more communication because it's just the one book. And then if I'm doing something with a series, I'm going to continue more conversation, communication, relationship building because we're doing a series. I used to separate the two. And I've quickly realized the longer I'm doing this that although they're two different kinds of work, they should still be treated with the same kind of effort and the same kind of communication style, the same kind of um, attention and devotion outside of the project itself
Mhm.
because you're a customer today, but after this book is done, you're a fellow colleague. And I shouldn't see it as two separate projects. And I think that helps me not just going back to our first topic, not just with my character, but to be a better person in the industry. It's like you should not just view people as clients. They're also individuals with stories, with things to share, with other resources, and other journeys of life. So I think that's helping me the longer I do this to not separate the two.
Wow, good answer. How would you manage, let's say, work-life balance as you grow your business?
hmm I think I'm still learning to manage that, to be honest with you. I think I'm always learning to manage that because I wear many hats. I wear many hats. I'm more than just a writer, so um, I'm always learning. I'm always learning. But thankfully, being a writer, I can do that anywhere. So I have written many stories in Mozambique for other people. and
Okay.
and in Brazil, well, I was editing a book in Brazil. So it never stops. However, I think I'm still trying to find and I will always be finding the balance.
All right. Let's move to mindset and motivation. How would you stay
Mhm.
motivated when things get rough? How do you stay motivated?
I know this sounds super practical, but I gotta get in my word. I'm being so for real. I gotta get in my word. 'Cause
Yeah.
and I can tell these days when I'm not. I can tell these days when I don't start my day in prayer or I don't start my day in the word because I start getting agitated and I'll get irritated with things that should not bother me. And they do. And it sounds so simple, it sounds so practical, but I think it's my foundational principle. Like everything begins and ends from there and continues from that place for me. And it helps me stay vigilant. It helps me stay sharp. It helps me stay discerning. It helps me stay kind. It helps me stay sensitive to other people and to not just be so one track minded when I'm finishing a project because life is still happening.
Ding, 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 ding. Good answer. Go to head the class. I like that.
Mm.
I'm the same way. Got to get that word in the first thing for my feet hit the ground, and the
Okay,
last thing,
come
got to have,
on.
got to have it, got to. And usually I have a conference call I do, and what I do, I do it Monday through Friday, and the first thing I start off with is the book of Proverbs, 31
Mm,
books. And I
yeah,
go each month, each day is a separate book, and I go into one chapter, each chapter, and I read a scripture to start the day off. So that's, something I'm training people. That's powerful. Thank you.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
how do you deal with well, I doubt if you have this, but we all have it. Self-doubt moments, not the whole day, because I know there's just a moment and they can come and flee, and uncertainty on your entrepreneur journey. How does that?
Mhm. Yeah, and that's a real question. I wouldn't say anyone's exempt from self-doubt. I think we all are,
Yeah.
very, very much, especially people like us who are aware of ourselves. I think we're the most dangerous kind of people because we can be so inward and like so overwhelmed and so consumed by what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? I know better than this. I know that, and I think sometimes we're our worst enemies. Those who know much are our worst enemies. So but for me, self-doubt, when those things do creep in, I have to quickly like readjust and realign. I used to like ponder on things, like when I would feel things, I'd be like, I would sit in it for a while, I'd ponder on it for a while. And I recognized that even a passing thought of sadness, if you sit on that too long, now it becomes a state of mind. And now
Yeah.
it becomes like how you feel. And now you see the lens through life through that. And so when self-doubt kind of triggers through my mind, I'm like, okay, I recognize it. Why did this come in my mind? I'm gonna uproot that because that's not who I am. I have the training, I have the knowledge, I have the work ethic, I am growing, I am learning. That's not to say I've arrived, but like I'm on this journey with the Lord and with the connections and with the people and with my circle. And I don't sit in that. When it comes, I acknowledge it, I rewrite it with the word, I rewrite it with who I know I am and what I'm doing, and then I keep pushing.
Love it. Love it. Let me ask you this. What is your personal definition of success, and how do you measure success in your business?
Mm. I'm not sure if this is the answer you're looking for, but this is like to me, if success in any way is the same definition. I don't really even try to define it as in business, as in writing,
Okay.
as in music. I personally, but to me, success is like truly just knowing like what you were placed on this earth to do. Like bottom line, because if any kind of avenue you decide to pursue in life, if you still don't know what you're designed to do, you're going to be unfulfilled in those avenues.
Mm-hmm.
The avenue of writing, the avenue of business, the avenue of anything you do, if it's like as you're on that journey, you can be working your tail off, but if you don't know what you were designed to do at your core, you're going to feel unfulfilled and everything you do will not be successful in your sight. So to me, I think everything starts with like, what was I designed to do? Who was I made for? And now what was I placed on the earth to fulfill? And like as I understand those things, I see the things that I get the privilege to do, like write and edit and publish and sing and travel and do missions. To me, those aren't my identities. Those are just avenues I get to be great in because I know what I was called to do. So therefore everything I do is successful because my identity doesn't lie in it.
Wow. That says a lot. I love that answer. That goes back to my first book, God's Gifts. That's on the
Come
channel there.
on.
So yeah, wow. Hey, let me ask you this question, because I have so much. The more I'm talking, the more I'm sitting there in awe. Um, what advice? Because for doing how many years have you been doing editing now? Just roughly.
For me, about 4 or 5 years. Four or
Yeah.
5 years.
And you talk with wisdom as someone has been doing it for 30, 15, or 20 years. That's what I'm in awe about. Uh,
Listen, you run with the greats, so think like them.
so true. I like it. What advice you give to entrepreneurs trying to stand out in a crowded market?
Mhm. Well, that's a good question. I apply this to everything. So in the realm of entrepreneurship, see the vacancy and fill it.
Mm,
Find the vacancy and fill it. There are a lot of people making the same kind of stuff, doing the same kind of practices, making the like just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste because they see what worked and they just model the same thing. Not to say that's bad, but if you want to stand out in a very busy world in general, in a very busy market, find the vacancy and fill it.
okay. Wow, that's a good one. Now we know we started talking here a little while ago. We talked about music and things. So tell us about the years of music. What have you done there?
Yes. So I've been singing in church my entire life. I'll start with that. Since I grew up in church, I'm a pastor's kid. So at 5 years old, I was up there, Easter and Christmas. My little microphone shaking, all nervous. But I've been singing, yeah, since five. But I would say probably I take it a little more seriously about 13, 14, and um, went a lot through voice lessons and training. And then when I went to
Wow.
college is when things started, I think, to start speed up a little bit for me. And I was a part of an ensemble there, a traveling ensemble. I got a lot of training, worked in a lot of studio work, worked with a lot of amazing producers and artists, and just trained us intensely but amazingly, and had a lot of experience there traveling. Went overseas many times, sung on a cruise ship with that group. So anything you can think of, we've done. Sung on Broadway, just anything you can think of. But it was an incredible time of training, and that kind of work ethic that I learned in that environment. I've applied to just anything in life. I've applied to even how my work ethic as a writer. Just it's like it's incredible. So my years of music just are very extensive, but also like always still evolving. And now I lead worship, and I
Do you hear the sound of a wind, the sound of a rain? I hear the sound, I hear the sound, I hear the winds of change, 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 stirring in this region, stirring in this nation, stirring in our globe. I hear the sound, the winds of change, and I can see a cloud heavy with rain. And it looks like freedom is headed our way. I can see a cloud heavy with, and it looks like freedom is headed our way. And I can see a cloud heavy with rain. It's heavy with rain, 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 rain down on your daughters, Lord. We're hungry and thirsty for more. We're hungry and thirsty for more. Rain down, Lord. 'Cause I can see a cloud heavy with rain, and it looks like Jesus is headed our way. He's heading our way.
I songwrite and I sing, and I teach voice lessons as well. I love building up the next generation of singers to be powerhouse vocalists and powerhouse worship leaders. So I'm
Wow.
all about just telling a story if you haven't gotten that, which is why writing is beautiful to me. Because if it's
Well,
through music, it's a storytelling. If it's through writing, it's storytelling. So yeah.
wow. She said Broadway, everybody. I'm gonna have to get an autograph next time I go through Tampa there to get an autographs, on Broadway with this. That's amazing. Let me ask you a question. I'm talking about
Mhm,
innovation and creativity. How would you do? How
mhm,
would you stay innovative and consistent in a changing market? Who would you? How do you stay relevant?
mhm. Well, one, like keep your ear to the ground. If things are changing, why are they changing? What are people talking about? So many times we just see things happening and we don't even try to step in to feel the tide changing, go with the current. And that's not to say you shouldn't keep your values or your business model. If things are all changing to look one way, that doesn't mean you should. But as things are changing, ask questions like why? What's happening? What is current? What is happening right now? And I think that's something that it's so simple, but people aren't asking questions and people
Mhm.
aren't seeking for answers about what things are looking like. We should always be ready to evolve, always be willing to not necessarily change who we are, but grow in who we are and grow in our minds, our and all of our practices. So as far as like being creative and innovative, it's like find the creatives that out there that are thinking things that you're not and see how you
Yeah.
can align and work together because they're generally the outcasts in a lot of worlds because they're too out of the box. But the biggest of the out of the box thinkers were the ones who started the kind of things that we're running with today. But now
Okay.
it's normal. So find those people that are to you out of the box, but have these ideas that you can partner with while you're asking these questions of why things are changing. Like connect, work together, evolve, find that vacancy and fill it with people who like have that kind of flavor to them.
So the good answer sounds like to me, use your creativity to overcome business challenges. Sound like it to me.
Mhm, mhm.
Hmm. Okay. Let's see. Hmm. Next question. If you looked at it from an outsider, just starting to write a book, when will they call you to kind of come through the book and edit it for them? After completed, or what would you say? Most people, when they come to you, they've already got a book in mind, or they want to ghostwrite. What do you find more prevalent today? People that have a book already, they want you to edit, or they want you to be a ghostwriter. What do you see more today?
Yes. More and more, I'm seeing a lot more of ghostwriting just because I feel like people have these ideas that come to them and they even have a format of like, I want to talk about this, but it's just how. How? And even more so biography stories I have been writing a lot more of, which are fun to me, but it's interesting because those kinds of stories usually you would think already to be written because it's their personal story. But
Mhm.
no, like they just have something within them. They just need someone to kind of pull out. So I've noticed that's been something I've been doing a lot more recently. For whatever reason, I enjoy it still. So let them keep coming.
Okay. Well, let's do a little more personal insight. Give us
Mhm.
a typical day in the life of an entrepreneur of yourself. What do you do? What does your day look like?
Yes, a typical day. So I'll start my day, like I mentioned with you. I'll read the word, I'll pray. Always start with a cup of tea. People are weird at that. I love
I
tea.
love tea.
Okay, good. Okay, good. My father is an avid like coffee connoisseur, but me, I love tea. So but to me, tea starts my day, and then I have a large list of deadlines of what I have to finish for what kind of people and when. So if I'm editing multiple books or magazines or writing for multiple things at a time, obviously you have to plan that out right. So I try to just keep it 3 projects a day at all times, and then after my 3 projects, at any time I'll kind of space them out. I'll go on a little coffee break and meet a friend at the coffee shop. I'll go do my voice lessons. I go to church. Um, I work there. I'll sing there, come back, and I'll do it all over again.
Hmm. What kind of tea do you enjoy?
Ooh, Harney and Sons is my favorite brand. I'm not sure if you heard of them, but something with like an apple cinnamon is good. I love green tea with a little honey and lime. Ah, I love it all, honestly.
I
Ginger
tell you,
tea. Ah, it's so
oh, there
good.
you go. What I've been doing lately, and I started about 45 days ago, and I've lost a lot of weight around the stomach. Just not that I was
Mm,
huge or anything, but a little lemon, honey with cloves and
ooh,
mint.
that's
Mint leaf,
good.
fresh mint leaf in there, a little honey, and I tell you what, it's just been and ginger,
Yeah.
and let it simmer. Oh my! And I'm hooked. I do the first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and a couple
Ooh, I
times.
love.
Oh yeah, I'm a
I'm
coffee drinker.
gonna take notes. I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. It's so soothing, and I tell you what, I could tell the difference. And I'm not like I say I walk 3 times a day, but what with just adding that tea in there, oh my God, it's life
Oh, I bet
changing.
that's good.
Yeah, life changer. So what books or podcasts or sources that you listen to or impact you become the entrepreneur that you are today?
That's good. Oh, wow. A lot of them were things I received while I was in school. I went to a lot of seminars more than anything, and
Cool.
just exploring the different routes of journalism. So I can't necessarily say it's one like podcast or what book. It's just a lot of seminars and meeting with people who I had this connection of somebody who did this really well. I would sit down with my advisor when I was in college, and she would send me lots of resources of people, and I would just sit there and listen and take notes and listen. So for me, I think that's been my biggest thing.
Okay, not just one book. You can put books on the end or
Mhm.
podcasts on the end. Not just one, but several that you might have listened to. So there's nobody in particular. Okay,
Not really, not
okay,
really.
okay. Um, what does your business hold for you the next, say, 5 to 10 years? What's your goal there? What are you looking at?
I
Where do you
love
hope to
this.
be?
Um, Truthfully, I would hope to do what I'm doing today already, just at a much larger scale. And that scale would be having a team of writers. I think it'd be amazing to work on, have a team, build a team so that we all share the same kind of business model idea, which is like storytelling with a way that keeps the author's voice true, but with a level of professionalism that like we are able to make these books turn around very quick. I think for a lot of authors who have a story to share, they go the self-publishing route sometimes, and it takes months on end to find the right people, and then
Yeah,
months on end for the right people to work on the project, and then months on end to get it put it through the Amazon, all this like other like factors. But to have a team of people that can make it run a lot smoother, a team of ghostwriters, a team of editors, a team of publishers, I think that'd be amazing. So to have that and have that running and continue doing what I love and just being with people, talking with them, connecting with them, all of those things.
that's awesome. Any exciting plans or new projects you're working on, except beside mine?
Yes, aside from yours, I am editing a new book currently, which is really exciting. Title cannot be released yet because it's in the process of being decided, but it's going to be a wonderful book. It's a more of a spiritual discipline book, a leadership book. I'm excited to edit for, and as well, I will be actually in 2 months going to Kenya, which is exciting. Going to be doing some crusades out there, handing out some books to people, but also aside from handing out books, we're going to be preaching the gospel and sharing the good news and praying for salvation, signs, wonders, healings, miracles, the whole thing.
I
So
love it.
be
I
fun.
love it. I love it. Well, okay, now I know you. God, I just love everything you said on this call today. Now, let's look at the industry as a whole. Now, the industry.
Hmm.
What do you see the industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, and how are you prepared for the change that's coming, if you
Hmm.
see one?
Yes, I do see one. I think I'm a little bit of a benefit just because the industry is changing and it's my generation that's changing. So I feel like, oh, okay, I understand their thought process because we're the same. However, I'm realizing that everything that changes, there are people coming up and there are people exiting. So I think to be successful in this, my opinion, I think I need to have both roots and wings. Roots are people who've been here a lot longer than me, and wings are people who are flying and just getting things started and that have fresh vision. And it's like, I want to be like right there in between. So as things are changing, what
Mm,
worked in the past and what made this successful? And like, as they're flying, what's happening that's new and fresh and exciting that's going to make what I'm doing even better?
that's powerful. That's powerful, man. You make me think on that one. So, with that said, what advice would you give someone who's thinking about starting in the business today of editing or ghostwriting?
Okay. Find a mentor, please. Find a mentor. It goes back to what we were just saying. I was saying earlier, like it's it's really impossible to think that you can do this by yourself. You might have 16 degrees, praise the Lord. However, if you have no experience and you don't have people who have done this before by your side, you're going to be mindlessly digging and digging just to get through a really really large crowd of people. So just be mentored by somebody. Find people who are doing it well and like start working with them. Like even just I know when I was writing at first time, like first things I had to start doing is I was just trying to write for like the local newspaper, or just submit things, just things I wasn't going to get paid for, but I was trying to like be around people who were doing it good,
Yeah.
and um, be mentored by those. Like in any kind of field that you're inspired by or interested in pursuing, find a mentor in.
Yeah, like when I started this channel, Mr. Clemens is my mentor. I knew nothing about this, and matter of fact, believe it or not, I'm being mentored right now because here's my cue cards.
Come on, cue
All
cards.
things business. So right here, then my cue cards. Even though you can't see them, I got cue cards here, and
Eh,
and all of yes. See, so I'm being mentored right now. I'm coachable, so it's so important to
yes,
be
sir.
coachable.
Always,
Well,
right? Come on.
give us a few words in closing, because you just been an outstanding guest today, and we just
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. Give us a few words in closing. What would you want to leave the audience with, knowing or saying, or some thoughts that you may have?
Yeah. Um, well, what I want to say is if you're obviously listening to this, business and entrepreneurship, that entire world is something you feel either called to, passionate about, or already doing. You're in something in that category. So if there are dreams that you've kind of let go in the process of business, like pick them back up. I think it's time. And if there are things that you feel like are too big for you, go for them. Go for them. You do not know what you are capable of until you try. And if this is the kind of space that's like reminds you what you're called for, reminds you what you're passionate about, reminds you what you're capable of doing. And if there weren't people in my life who pushed me, I'm not sure I would have the stamina to keep going. And this podcast, maybe that's exactly what's going to be for you. So I pray as we're listening to this, like you feel like that stirring again of like, I have dreams within me I'm meant to fulfill, or have skills that the Lord have gave me that have grown dormant. Like whatever it is, pick it back up, stir the gift again, run after the Lord in doing it, keep your character in check, but also like work hard. The Lord will honor those who work hard, and He will honor those who diligently seek Him in the process. So keep it pushing for real.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Miss Jayliene Bonilla. I just want to say
Yes, sir.
thank you for a great session today. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the subscribe button. Please, please, please leave a comment below. We want to thank her because this was very powerful. I mean, we just appreciate her coming on, taking time out of her schedule. The book that she's doing for us is The Entrepreneur's Mindset to Wealth. I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate it. Not only that, but been on the mission field for the Lord and just doing so many things at a young age. And I'm just blown away by just the experience she has and what she gave us. Because most people of this caliber would be around doing this for at least 20 years or better. And she's only been doing it for 4 years, but you can see the knowledge and the blessings she had and anointing on her, that she is a lady that you're going to be reckoned with, you're going to be hearing about in the future. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Take care. God bless. And as always, we'll see you at the top, or we'll see you over the top. Al Thomas over now. God bless.